I animated a windmill in Minecraft, and by the end of this video, you can animate one too. We're going to do this with the use of structure blocks. Using this command here, we're going to give it to ourselves, and it looks a little something like this. First, before we start, we want to make a copy of our windmill, so that way we don't lose any progress if we mess up, because with structure blocks, it's very likely that you will mess up. And put our block there. We're going to set this to a save block. We're going to call it windmill, and let's call it building. Put down our structure block. We're going to go to corner. Use the same name we used before. Hit done, and then run over here real quick over to our save block, and we're going to hit this button over here, the detect on the right hand side. And now we have our bounding box. Once we have it all set and we're happy, we can come over here and we can hit save. Now, at any point, I can come over here and I can place another one down. I can hit load, same name, windmill, building, hit load, and you'll see it has the same shape, same size box as our previous one. Come in here, hit the load all the way to the right hand side, and that is a copy of our windmill. Using this concept, I want to take a structure block and place it right back here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this into a save block, and we're going to label it windmill. That's the folder that it's located in. Then we're going to call it blades with a 0 because that's going to be our default frame, the one we start and stop the animation on. Next we need to define the area that we're going to save. So let's pillar out over here, put it down a structure block. We're going to turn it into a corner block, and we're going to use the same name as before, windmill, blades 0. We'll do control middle click to copy it and get rid of this line of blocks. And we'll do the same thing up here. We'll just set down a block and we'll pillar out. We'll go just one past and place down a structure block. Again, we're just going to get rid of these red wool blocks. We're going to come over here to our save block. We're going to click the detect button and make sure our corner blocks are in their correct positions. I'm checking all 4 sides here just to make sure that everything is within the box. It's looking good, so let's come over here and hit the save button on the right hand side. Grab a quick copy of our save block by hitting control middle click. We're just going to make a pillar right here, place down our structure block, change it to a load block, hit load, and there's our copy of our windmill blades. Real quick, I'm going to space out our frames just by placing down some blocks and make sure there's at least one block in between each frame. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Leave a block in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to place down our structure block. And we're going to do the same thing. I sped this up a bit, but what I'm doing is I'm placing 15 blocks in between each structure block. And that gives us 4 frames to work with. Let me come over here and show you a little trick. Let's come in here, change this 0 to, I'm going to call it clear. And I'm going to hit save. What that's going to do is that's going to save this area as all air blocks in order to make it easier to get rid of any large scale mistakes. If we need to start over here, I can just erase that 0, put down clear and hit load. And now it's gone. Nice and easy. I can come back in here, put 0 instead of clear and hit load. And there we go. It's back. So let's change all of these to the number we want. So that's going to be 1. This is going to be 2. And the last one is 3. I'm going to start on this 3rd frame since it's going to be the easiest at this point. So let's put down our center block. And let's go ahead and slap down the button just to get that out of the way. Now this is just going to be a diagonal angle, and I'm going to go 5 blocks. So let's see how many that is. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to go one more, and 5. So let's get rid of these. And we're going to do this on all 4 sides. Once you have all 4 blades going out, let's go ahead and put down some more fences. We're going to do 1, 2, 3 on all of these. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to put 1 here, and we're going to put 1 here. And that's going to give us the shape that we're looking for. After that, we're going to take our birch trap doors, and we're going to cover all the fences that are not in that first diagonal line that we put down. Just fill it all in. And just repeat this all the way around. After you've built all 4 blades, it should look something like this. The next frame we're going to work on is frame number 2. This one is going to look a little more complicated, but it's actually quite simple. So let's start with our center block and our button, just like before. And we're going to place a fence on all sides. And then we're going to start here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're just going to repeat this pattern, and we're just going to go up and to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll do that a couple times. And that's a blade. With your birch trap doors, just come right in here, place down these 2x2 squares all the way up. And again, we're going to repeat this all the way around. And that's our second frame complete. Let's move on to the 4th and last frame. This one's going to be more complicated, so I'm going to do this one just a little bit differently. But we are going to start here with our center block and our 4 fences around the edge. We're going to need a temporary block here in these corners just to help us out. Now we need to place 1, 2, 5, 3, starting there, and then let's throw 1 extra one on top. And then here we're going to go down 2, and we're going to go over 3, but then we're going to place 1 here. And one more time we're going to go down 2, but only 1 here. And of course take out this temporary block. Let's go ahead and put our birch trap doors on this blade. We're going to start with 3 here. This one's going to have 4. Next is going to be 4 as well. And the last one has 2. And again, let's repeat it all the way around. With the 4th frame complete, I'm going to give you a second to pause the video so that way you can see all 4 frames at the same time. Hopefully this will help you copy them down. The next step is redstone. We need to create a repeating clock that drives our animation. So we need to build up 2 blocks, and at the top we're going to put some slabs. We need to make a 3x3 square. On top of each corner we need a block, and in between each block we need a repeater going around in a circle. Pick a corner, any corner, doesn't matter. Get rid of a stone slab. Then below that we're going to put a sticky piston, an observer, a note block, another observer, and then bring this observer line around to here. What that's going to do is provide us a nice and controllable clock that we can turn on and off anytime we want. I'm going to set these repeaters to 3 ticks and start the clock. It can be whatever speed you like. I've prepared a structure block with a test animation. I'm going to show the bounding blocks. I'm going to load it. It just has a single white wool block with some air around it. And then I'm going to take this, I'm going to place it on top of each one of these corners. And then when I start it, there you go, it goes around and around. You'll notice that once I stop it, this block will always be in the same spot. Start it, it goes around, stop it, it'll always stop here. And this is important because that is going to be our default frame. This is a pretty compact circuit. It's small enough to where I could put it inside the building. However, I'd like to keep this area open for decorating. So, I've put it just underground. And now that we have the clock in place, we need to go grab our structure blocks. The first thing we need to do is make sure that they're all saved correctly. Make sure you use the Save button inside the GUI and not through a redstone signal. This will save it to the file instead of just a temporary file. When you're placing down the structure blocks, make sure that your clock is turned off. That way it doesn't accidentally save over the top of your files. Make sure to change them all to load blocks. Now, we're not done yet. If we were to do this now, it would really mess up our building. Do yourself a favor and remember to make a backup of your world before activating your structure blocks. Just as an added precaution, I'm going to get rid of this observer block just so it doesn't add a redstone signal to the clock. And if we come up here, we can see that the bounding box for those structure blocks are not in a good place. So what we need to do is we need to go through one by one on these structure blocks and make sure that they're in the right spot. Here's a quick tip for adjusting the position of your bounding box on your structure blocks. If you go inside your structure block, you'll see it says relative position on that second line. This first box is your x-axis, your second box is your y-axis, and the third box is z-axis. Each of the axes are color-coded. X is red, Y is green, Z is blue. In order to make it easier to see the bounding boxes that I'm working with, I'm going to get rid of these safe blocks. But I'm going to leave the corner blocks as a guide. At this point it's just a bunch of back and forth, going between the structure block and the outside, looking at the actual blocks themselves, and making sure everything lines up. In this case I have it too far forward and too high, so going back in I can adjust it back a couple and down some. I'm only working with one bounding box at a time, and having these corner blocks in place makes it very easy for me to line everything up. I'm not going to show all of the frames for this step as it's just too tedious. After the first frame, I found the other three quite a bit easier. At that point, I could just copy the numbers from the first frame and use them in the others. All I had to do was add or subtract 2 to the correct axis. You do get better at it. Here's your friendly reminder to make a backup. It will save you one day, and you will thank me. Now that we have all the bounding boxes in the correct position, remember to place this observer. Let's start the clock and see what happens. I look forward to seeing the animated windmills that you create. Just be careful when importing it. Remember, back up your world beforehand, and maybe place the observers by hand to prevent from ruining your build. And I'll see you guys next time.